Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and today was the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard. It was better than I expected. One of the first videos I did on this channel was a review of the 2019 French Grand Prix, which, if I remember correctly, was really dull. This one was more exciting, although we still had 20 cars finished, so there was no retirements, which is still fairly unusual in Formula 1. So we'll cover all of the action from today's Grand Prix. Remember to subscribe. Thank you for helping me get over 400 subscribers, which is insane. And with that, let's start the video.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
So in many ways, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix came down to tyres. Verstappen's tyre blew. That led to the red flag, a restart, Hamilton's mistake, and Perez's first Red Bull win. In not quite so many ways, this was also about tyres, because there was higher degradation than the teams were planning for, apparently. It was interesting how strategy played out in this one. And Verstappen, who led off the line, made a mistake and was taken by Hamilton, and Hamilton really dominated the early part of this race until the pit stops. Bottas pitted, Red Bull covered with Verstappen. It looked like if Hamilton pitted straight away, then he'll cover that off and there won't be any problems and we'll go back to running as we were. But Verstappen got Hamilton on the undercut, which must have been an amazing outlap. I don't think we really saw any of it, but it must have been an incredible outlap, because I think he had like 3.5 seconds to make up. So now Verstappen leads from the two Mercedes. Perez ran long, he eventually pitted, and then the tyre wear started. We saw it with Charles Leclerc, because Charles Leclerc pitted on like lap 16 or something, and it might have been earlier than that, and he ran 16 laps and started to struggle. This was not a good race for Ferrari. If you're a Ferrari fan, you probably turned it off around the midpoint. And I think Leclerc struggling sort of opened up the possibilities that these tyres might not make it to the end. So, shockingly, Red Bull pitted, and Verstappen put on mediums. Obviously, he was then going to have to make that up, unless Mercedes pitted, which they didn't. And then for the whole race, it was, well, the rest of the race, Verstappen chasing down the Mercedes. It was much like Bahrain, where Verstappen caught Hamilton on the last lap but couldn't get past and eventually ran wide. This time he got him, and it was a good overtake. And I think Red Bull have really laid down a marker for the championship with this, because Perez got Bottas as well, Verstappen got fastest lap, and you know, Red Bull came into this race with both a lead in the drivers and constructors, which they've now extended. So this couldn't have gone much better for Red Bull than Hamilton either not finishing or Perez coming up into second. It looks like Mercedes made a mistake with strategy again, which would make this maybe the second and third race in a row where Mercedes have seemed a little bit off. And that's been unusual. So maybe they are feeling the pressure more than they're letting on. They do spout off in the media quite a lot. I've seen quite a lot of Toto Wolff on various topics taking pops at Red Bull. I think even Hamilton was talking about mind games recently. But Red Bull seem to have the upper hand at the moment. Perez getting Bottas as well means he's doing the job Albon couldn't do. So Red Bull have sort of turned out to be justified in signing Sergio Perez, because he's now doing a fantastic job for the team. He's well clear in third in the championship. Bottas, he was sixth, but I'm guessing has moved up a little bit. Charles Leclerc didn't score, for instance. Lando Norris was fifth, and I'll get to McLaren in a minute. But I think Bottas is around fourth or fifth now, so it is the top four of the top four in the championship. Perez, another podium, will be great for him. I'm sure a big confidence booster, and he really does seem to have that car now. He's not on Verstappen's pace, but I think he's exactly where Red Bull want him to be, and that is a problem for Mercedes. As for the rest of the field, I think Ferrari can be massively disappointed with this. They would look quick in qualifying. I think Sainz was 5th. In the race, it seemed to again be an issue with tyres and strategy, and they both dropped out the points. Aston Martin, on the other hand, did a fantastic job. 9th and 10th. Vettel scores points for the 3rd race in a row. So this year is going much better for Sebastian Vettel than I think pretty much everyone thought it would. McLaren, they looked like they messed up their tyre strategy, but it worked out for them in the end. They were 5th and 6th. And they seem to be doing 90% of the overtaking in this race. I think we saw about 20 or 30 McLaren overtakes. So they did a fantastic job. And Norris really is having the season of his life. He's my driver of the day, because I don't think it looked like that tyre strategy was going to work, and in the end it paid off. Alonso did well. I think he was the other point scorer, if I'm missing one or two. I can't remember. Oh, Alonso and Gasly both did fantastic jobs as well. With Ferrari struggling, I really thought the last 2 races they sort of made gains and were going to be like the 3rd place team again. McLaren are definitely the 3rd place team at the moment, but they are a long way off Mercedes and Red Bull, and I don't know if they'll close that gap in the next few years, let alone the next few races. They're still doing as good a job as you can expect. Norris is a fantastic driver, and I'm really happy he's doing well. I think the rest of the field, they're sort of about where you expect them. Again, no points for Alfa Romeo or Williams or Haas. They were about as good as you expect. Although Russell did a very good job to finish 12th. Especially as all 20 cars finished. That's, you know, a way above and beyond where you'd expect Williams to be right now. So George Russell is doing a fantastic job for Williams, even though they're not scoring points. Other than them, I think Tsunoda, he looked like he had a good start to the season. That hasn't really continued. He crashed in qualifying, started from the pit lane, only made his way up to 13th, I think. Ocon didn't score, as I said, the Ferraris didn't score, so I think that's the non-scorers. So I think in terms of the championship, Verstappen still has a healthy lead, and we have a double header at Austria coming up, really into the midpoint of the championship now. And it's as exciting as it's been built to be. Some of the races have been a bit drab, but the last few, Monaco was a boring race, but Azerbaijan, there was loads happening. And this French Grand Prix, it was almost a classic. I don't know how I'd rate this one. I was intrigued and generally enjoyed what I was seeing, but it wasn't the greatest Grand Prix ever. But you're not going to get that every race. It was still pretty good, this race, and it's interesting for the championship. And as I said, I think Red Bull really, showed what they've got. I think this was pretty much everything on display, and they got a result which I think will be a huge confidence booster for the rest of the year. I still have misgivings about their reliability. As I said, Mercedes, they didn't score in Azerbaijan for reasons, but they generally finish races all the time. So if you could say Hamilton's had all his bad races now, he's going to be on top form the rest of the year. And I think Verstappen, I think it's still going to be tit for tat, but Verstappen taking these advantages when he can, and obviously if he'd won in Azerbaijan as well, it'd be even more. But for now, I think Verstappen is doing a fantastic job. He really has been the best driver all round, all year. He's really taken it to a different level this year. And I know Red Bull have had a performance advantage, or performance gain at least, and that helps. But I think Verstappen is still giving it 110% and really dragging that car beyond its limits. So, as I said, I tried not to give the top drivers driver of the day just because it's more interesting for me at least. But Max Verstappen, at most of these races that he's actually won, he has probably been the best driver in the field. Probably same goes for Lewis Hamilton when he's won. As I said, double header in Austria will be interesting, especially with the title as tight as it is. A double header at the same track. It's honestly, if Verstappen wins in Austria, And I'm guessing they're calling the other one the Styrian Grand Prix again. Surely winning the first one gives you a massive, like, mental advantage for the second one. But we'll have to see how that plays out next week. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, do it. Like the video, share it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Thank you for watching and have a good one.